So, picture this. It's the 19th of March in 1911. It's the first time that the International Women's Day is being celebrated, and it has drawn more than 1 million people to rallies worldwide. What a phenomenon. Yes, fast forward to today. With a color theme of purple and green for this International Women's Day 2023. And talking about themes, this year's International Women's Day theme is Digital, Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality. This theme is aligned with the priority theme for the upcoming 67th session for the Commission on the Status of Women, whose theme is Innovation and Technology Change and Education in the Digital Age for Achieving Gender Equality and the Empowerment of All Women and Girls. This whole week leading to today has been all things female. Let us get into the streets and find out, what are women celebrating? What change would they love to see?
Women are important in everything. I'm a woman. We carry everyone in our wombs, and we give life.
What would you love to see change about women?
A lot. There are people like in compounds. The only women who are recognized, they are only those who are in those who are educated.
We're so blessed to have women around the world. Just know, life without women, because sometimes you go for work, you go home, you find out that everything's prepared. And in fact, women play a very big important role in the society. Raising the children is one of the biggest challenges which a society can face. But women are able to raise our children. So women are very, very important. That's why I hate people who beat women. Just imagine if the world had no women, where could have been? Yes.
So what would you love to see change about women?
They just have to be humble. You know, naturally, they just have to be humble so that they create a conducive environment between the husband and the wife.
We have to give them respect. Without mother, we can't do anything in this world. So tipempa ko chabe batiyanga nlepo is my mother's. But pushing eko quite alright wakamba kutuba pushing avintu basitabwani but sisebena ngutiviona.
They actually bring life on earth. So without a woman we can't be there. So everything to be in existence needs a portal. And the first portal that we have is a woman. Even for Jesus to come, he used a woman to come through. So a woman is the first portal for life to begin on earth. So they are very important because number one, they give us life. Number two, they take care of us as men and children. And without a woman, I think us men can be working hard because a woman has got a hormone that makes a man to work harder and harder. So I think a woman is important in so many ways.
Anything you'd love to see change about women?
That's a very good question. Women love money too much. Women love money. And men, they don't really love money, but they work for money. So 3/4 of women, if I say 70% of women, they have got a dependent syndrome, which is slowly going out, but most of the women, they depend on men. No matter how much money a woman can make, definitely they will depend on a man. You can be getting 10,000, I'm getting 5,000. Totally you depend on my money to support the whole household. So women should stop loving money, and the world will be a better place.
Ma women it's important because once vamuna na vakazi vonse tichita contribute to development. And then futi nangu kuyamba kwa nature mulungu anapanga mamuna na mukazi. So if you remove women, the world is not going to be balanced. And then futi vakazi tili maningi caring. So ndise vamene futi tima taking care vana mamuna pena angu angapondoke angachoke ko but mukashana zankala intact na family nangu kuli vamai vake azatenga care. Venifuna tivichinje pali vazimai mostly we should stop depending on men. and also segregation. So when I say stopping depending on men, what I mean is we think if we are with men, that's when we can succeed. It's not true. We can succeed even as women. We should also start supporting each other.
One of the sectors that has women in science and technology is aviation. I interacted with Tiyenku Phiri, an aviation safety inspector and drone pilot at the Civil Aviation Authority.
Normally aviation was, basically I thought it was just about big planes and traveling abroad. But when I joined the civil aviation, I just realized that there was more to aviation, like the regulatory part of it. You get to meet different people, and there's just more to aviation than just flying planes and maintenance of the planes. It's my passion because I love it, I enjoy it, and I just do it stress-free. And when you love something and you do it with your passion, it's something that you can do for free. Basically, what I would advise them is that to get information about the field, because it's more interesting, because I've made aviation more about to be a male-dominated industry, which is very true. So basically what you can do to help young females is to disseminate information to the young girls, and that just create awareness. Then they'll know that it's something probably hold shows for them, then they'll get to know more about aviation, then they'll get to love it. We need to equalize the platforms in everything where females will be included in everything that the male children are doing. These things should be done at a very young age. When we start at a very young age, then they'll be able to know that even them, they can do it. And I think Careers Days is doing quite well in that area, because I've seen most of these Careers Days, these young girls are becoming pilots. So I think that's the way to go about it. We start when they're very, very young. For me, what was very exciting, we had gone to do a project with Zambian Airways and most askets. So when the villagers saw the drone, then it was landing somewhere. They thought it was, basically they just came to say a witch had landed somewhere. So it was very exciting. You see the whole village and the headman rushing where the drone had landed to see that a witch had fallen this side. So for me, that was very, very exciting. It was very interesting, but again, it was an opportunity for us to raise awareness that there's this kind of technology and it can be used. And the reason why in that area it was there to bring development. We have to grow the industry, technology, mathematics, and everything else by involving the young girls. Actually, we can start in our homes. If I can teach my daughter about these things and know it's okay, and tell her it's okay, you can do these things, I think the best way to do it is starting in our homes.
From a drone pilot to an aero pilot, and just not an ordinary one. Captain Yichidi Chiseyeng'i Ndhlovu is the first female Zambian pilot, and now a ZCAA operations inspector.
It was not easy to start with. When I applied to join the flying world, we had interviews at Lusaka Trades Training School, and I was the only girl among the boys. And some of them were asking, have you come to do typing or stenography? There's nothing like that here. The interviews here are not for that. I didn't answer, I just kept quiet. So, to cut a long story short, we went through the interviews, went through the aptitude tests, and I finally found myself at Zambia Air Services Training Institute. That was 1978. I graduated in 1981 with my commercial pilot's license. My love for aviation came from my family living near an airport in Ndhlovu. We used to live in a compound called Skyways. And the planes are overflying when they are going to land in at the former Ndhlovu airport. I would look up when the plane is flying and I'm saying, what is that in the air? And who is in there? I wouldn't mind to be on that machine. Fortunately, I was an above average student. So mathematics was always okay for me. So the sciences were always in my curriculum. So I think it came natural for me. It is very important to follow your heart, because that's the only thing that will cause you to achieve your purpose in life. Because if you are intimidated, if you are frightened by what other people say and what they think of you, that you may not be able to make it because you are in the wrong field, so they think, it is up to you to, to prove them wrong. It is up to you to show them that you can do just as well, and many a time even better than the male. From my point of view, yes, I believe that from a social point of view, pilots basically seem to, from previously, that they were always looking at the men to follow that passion. But like I said, there's an inclination to what you're supposed to fulfill in life. And if you follow that, you will find that it doesn't matter what other people think. Because for me, I've grown in my spiritual stand to follow, or to get to understand more, the one who created me and what he wants of me. And as I go along in the path, I believe the best thing to do is to be obedient to him. There may be some things that may look uncomfortable to you and to others, but you find that if you follow the crowd, you will lose out, because he is looking for an obedient student. To be innovative is encouraging us to think outside the box, so that we don't just tend to look at the way we've been doing things or the status quo, but we always look out to better. Wherever you are, you better whatever you are doing by having whatever new methods that you can be able to bring out. And when we talk about technology, for us, especially in aviation, it has been very, very helpful, in the sense that if I remember when I went to school, like I said, in '78, most of our planes had digital dials, not digital, they had analog, yes, for quite some time. But today, you find that you have digital instruments, which is very helpful in the sense that you don't have to look at too many dials for you to assimilate what you are looking at. But you probably just look at one instrument and it will give you everything that you want to see, which makes life much easier. It makes your work, you end up working in much more effective and efficient way. A point in hand is, like for a pilot, you have a lot of paperwork that you're supposed to work with. And from long, it has always been in black and white or in hard copy, So you have all these volumes of manuals for you to handle, But today, you find that you can have all those volumes on a piece of screen, on an iPad or things like that. And so it really makes, like I said earlier, it makes your work much easier, because you're looking at one screen rather than having to pull that manual and pull that book and look out for the other book and things like that. So I think it's very timely for us.
Chibwe, another female in this crew, is a senior inspector cabin safety crew. She has, in her time, enjoyed the best of both worlds, as she was also at one time Miss Zambia Airways.
Our duty is to oversight the regulatory compliances by the operators that we have certified. So once an operator has been certified and licensed to carry an air operator certificate, as well as initially they do obtain an air services license from the Ministry of Transport. What we normally do is once we go up and do these random we do have random scheduled audits, inspections. So when we come up, and I would give an example of a ramp inspection, we'll normally we'll do a ramp inspection on our local operators that we have certified, as well as the foreign operators. Remember, safety is global, and we all subscribe to the ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organization standards. So we'll come up onto an aircraft. Usually we want to be present when the whole team that is assigned to this flight coming in to do their sign up. The pilot will do their bit to with the flight plans and everything else they do in the preparation of that flight. From the airworthiness also, they'll do their bit to look at their counterparts who are maintenance, to see that as the aircraft has been released to the line, actually it is airworthy. In the process, you know, before, we never really had to choose. You find the family would decide what you're going to do. So I was sent to Zamim and I started data processing. That time, I think Zamim was about the second private college that was offering programs, and these were usually from the UK. These were UK-based programs. So I was drawn into aviation, branching off from data processing into aviation, and the programs range from the aircraft, the physical features of an aircraft, to the functionalities, the aircraft systems. We do a bit not as detailed as the other technical members, like the pilots and the maintenance personnel. But then for an awareness, you know, to know that when this aircraft is behaving this way, then this is what it is. From the cabin crew's experience, as you've indicated that you're the best of both worlds, it's work, but at the same time it's fun as well. So it's fun because you get to be the company's liaison and front liner, you know, in terms of commercial. You are the ones that are in contact with these passengers face to face. So you are in a better position to relay whatever information and perhaps assist management in making the decisions that they need to do in how they can improve on the service that delivery to the customers. So yes, Miss Zambia Airways, I did reign in the 90s. That was around, I think, 1991 when I became Miss Zambia Airways. The beauty of that is that I had a number of tasks. I was a liaison on many other foreign offices that dealt with Zambia Airways at the time. So yes, it does. You are able to manage the two, because on the other side, as you have to look out at the safety and the operation of the aircraft and maintenance of the emergency equipment that are on that particular aircraft. On the flip side of it, you are this person that must look after the passengers in terms of their comfort as they fly from one destination to the other.
The two men of this four-man crew, Engineer Patrick Phiri and Engineer Lumbwe Chiwele, are nothing but pure gentlemen.
When we talk about the airworthiness of an aircraft, we are talking of the integrity, serviceability, and good performance of an aeroplane that is whether passenger carrying or used for recreation.
This is a combined effort from all the concerned parties. I'm talking about, for example, when talking about airworthiness, we have the engines and airframe part, then we have the avionics part. He is A&C, which is engines and airframe. I am in charge of airworthiness, avionics part. So for the aircraft to be completely serviceable, all these parties should have worked together and ensure that the aircraft is fit to fly, and the A&C should sign out the aircraft. Well, it's quite interesting because the women folk have proved to be a challenge, and they are even in most cases the best counterparts. I've seen in my working life women who have, of course there are few, but the women that have come to party, they've always stood to to prove a point, and they are really good.
No, there shouldn't be that tug of war concept, because women are very good partners in almost everything. Workmanship, they do assist very well. Key positions, women should completely participate. They should not be shunned out. So the men's folk and the women should work together.
And because the theme has a leaning towards science, technology and innovation, we had to pay a visit to the National Science Center.
The first thing I have is a respect for women myself. From the time I started my profession, I had a passion to see how we can improve the teaching and learning for women, starting with my own mother. And she was not very educated, as we may think, but I think she had a way of innovating how we lived from the time we were young. And when I read through this, it helped me to go. Only taught at Chipembe Girls Secondary School, which was a girls' school, managed to move the results from where it was to where now people are celebrating that is one of the best schools in the country. And when I look at the theme, if you read it critically, you find that there's the word DIGITALL. So for me, the all aspect is very important. And I think it's pointing to humanity. In the all, we're talking about both male and female. And we have to really look at it from the angle of how does the all come into play. And I think it is from this angle that this theme is coming in. How do we make the other part which is failing to make it all come to make it all? And I think that's my interpretation of this DIGITALL, so that we have this gender equality, and it can only come if all are brought together to be on the same page. For me, first of all, it is a bit of a puzzle, and the puzzle comes in this way. We have been tracking the learning from early childhood, primary, secondary, tertiary, and university. When you look at the beginning, when the children are starting to do the learning, teaching and learning, females are more involved, they are more pronounced, they do very well. All the way up to grade 4, they are doing very well. But the time they are ending grade 7, they tend to start going down. This is a trend we are seeing. And then by the time you enter into grade 8, they start now reversing the table. And I think this is where our challenge is coming in. So why am I saying so? One of the researches we did was to ascertain when it comes to the brain function of males and females, and I think this research is there, you can see that the brains are almost the same. You think almost the same. We experience the same things. But I think it is the environment where we are exposed which actually start dividing us into these stereotypes, which I may call. So when you look at the achievement we are trying to do, the first thing we need to look at is where was the problem? And I think the problem has been we are not, the environment in which both male and female are put or are situated actually is hindering the achievement of STEM education. So as a science center here through the Ministry of Education, the first thing we have been trying to do is to answer the question, is there any difference between male and female? The answer is no. But what has gone wrong? It is these environmental factors, not the genetic makeup of male and female, but the environmental factors where we are exposed. For example, you go into class, the role models are mostly male. The language we use is at times tilted and sometimes it scares people. For example, people tell you, in this area where you have come from mathematics, if you clear nishindiwe mwamuna, no, just that word puts somebody off. Why can't we say nishindiwe mkazi? So these are some of the issues. They may look very trivial, but for us we are saying, is there any practice we are doing which is hindering this? We also look at the community. The support structure for the community, I'll give you an example. I walked in town today. The person who is on the telephone both doing money changing, that mobile money, it will be female. The person selling the phones into the booth in the other shop, it will be male. What language is it portraying? Why can't it be reversed? So these are things which are adapted from society, and they are affecting the way we are thinking. So for us here as the National Science Center, the first thing we are trying to do is, how do we calm down the situation for both male and female so that they become part and parcel of the development process? So for me, it's more of the cultural, social activities which are hindering the major achievement, but they can do it. From my experience, I'm not just talking, but I think I have a conviction. The Zambian women, male, female, for example, just take the basic. When it comes to the type of cooking, Zambian women are up there. And you know that food is a technology of some kind. Food can be a source of income. But how many are marketing this? I'll take you, let's go to Soweto now. We eat the chicken, the meat these people are going to cook for us. You even say, maybe this was a super person who has done it. The process of transforming that food for you to have it and say it is delicious is a scientific process. We have underrated it. It's an opportunity which we needed to have. So when I look at this, I've done so because I've eaten in almost of these countries, and I've come to convince myself we are not marketing what is there. This falls under what? Hospitality and tourism. When you talk about farming, most of the women are the ones in the field. As I speak to you now, they're in the fields doing the technologies of turning, doing all this. But we have underrated that. We need to shift our minds from looking at STEM education or digital literacy from the world perspective. Digital literacy is ours. Look at the Zambian women when it comes to braiding hair. Just that technology of making the hair look nice, and that can be a very big source of money. If we now invest more into the manicure, whatever you can call it, they're playing around with the phone. So I think we need to redefine what do we understand by STEM education. STEM is not foreign. STEM is life.
Now we take this international, as this day, after all, is celebrated globally. The United Nations observance of the International Women's Day recognizes and celebrates the women and girls who are championing the advancement of informative technology and digital education. International Women's Day 2023 is exploring the impact of the digital gender gap on the widening economic and social inequalities. The event is also spotlighting the importance of protecting the rights of women and girls in digital spaces and addressing online and ICT-facilitated gender-based violence. Bringing women and other marginalized groups into technology results in more creative solutions and has greater potential for innovations that meet women's needs and promote gender equality. I got into this conversation with Nigerian author, literacy advocate, and lawyer Helen Prest Ajayi.
When you have a greater understanding of science and technology, especially technology, then we can create apps and digital materials that are useful to us. You know, we have M-Pesa in Kenya, which opened the way for cross-border transactions. What I believe and what I know from practice, it boils down to the teaching. When you are taught by teachers that you like, who love to teach, you will learn that subject, because children only want to acquire knowledge from people they like. That's the whole way social media is based on. You learn things from recommendations from your friends. The same with teaching. When subjects are taught in a proactive way, everybody will love it. We are now on Gen Z. It's a very different animal, I can assure you. I have one in my house. Very different animals. So the approach has to be different. We cannot be using the approach of 20, 30, 40 years ago now in a very in a hugely changed world. Well, the reason that we do cause a fuss about Women's Day is that we believe that women have had the short end of the stick over the centuries, and they need to be encouraged. And yes, it is true in some aspects, but that's a catch-22. I think everybody needs to be encouraged, women and men. Though I believe that we have done a great job in encouraging women, in empowering women, in making women more confident. It's confidence that we're looking for. Because when you're confident, you have the ability to do things. It's fear that prevents people from doing a lot of things. And I believe that the encouragement that women need is important, and we need to continue that. And that's why Women's Day is important. It gives that encouragement and enables them to overcome the challenges of feeling inadequate or feeling that they're not capable. Feminism is a big word that encompasses so many things. When I was a young girl, it just meant having the opportunity, the same opportunity. Just give me the opportunity. That's what feminism was. Let us have the opportunity to compete. Now it means so much more. What is feminism? I believe feminism is a Western concept. In Africa, we are feminists by culture. We have a lot of societies that are matrilineal. When you go to the markets, it's the women, the traders are women, they're the ones who are taking charge. They take charge in the home. They take charge. In South Africa, you had Winnie Mandela. Women have been at the forefront of even in history. We have a lot of women warriors, historical warriors. I was reading something about the women in Zambia recently. So for us, feminism is a Western concept. In Africa, we are the soul and the earth of our communities. And we make a difference. And I believe that that concept has weakened our thinking. Instead of focusing on what is correct, what is right, what moves us forward as a people, we are busy trying to, how would I say, we're busy trying to grasp at straws. We have it already. We are. African women are feminists by culture. The common feature is camaraderie. Women, we can talk to each other. We are our own therapists. We can communicate. We find it easier to work in group. Although it's a stereotype that women don't like each other, I believe that is a stereotype that is not really. I don't see that in action when you get people of the same ilk focused towards a common goal. It's a stereotype that people believe in that without really that much evidence, and it's become like folklore. Africans, we are communal people. We help one another. We look after each other. That's why we have the system, extended family system. And look at that. Look at the extended. Women are the people that glue everything together in that extended family system. You know. So the joy of that we have, things that we have in common with other. I think this is the century of the future is female. Technology, I believe, is created for women because you don't have to have muscle, you don't have to have energy. You can sit in a place and roll everything from your computer, which is a great, since technology has come into full force, I think it has elevated women and allowed them to participate in many ways they could not have before. They can stay with their families, raise their children, and still have an empire, business empire. I have many friends, even my children, they have businesses run from one spot. And it is an equal opportunity system now. We need that balance. So it's a yin and a yang. We need women and we need men. Men are extremely important. They hold up the world. The women are extremely important also because we have, I believe we have a spiritual essence that complements. And men cannot do without women. People fail to. You know, my husband used to say men do everything because of women. That we don't realize our power. And it's true. If you hear that a man has committed something, it's usually, if you look down at the bottom, it's because he wants to impress a woman.
Amazing how Helen brings literacy education and feminism into the African context. Now, a gender-responsive approach to innovation, technology, and digital education can increase the awareness of women and girls regarding their rights and civic engagement. Advancements in digital technology offers immense opportunities to address development and humanitarian challenges and to achieve the 2030 Agenda's Sustainable Development Goals. Global partnerships here come into play.
The obvious entry point is digital issues and IT and ICT. And very clearly there is a gender aspect to this. We know that in many countries, including in Zambia, women have less access to technology, less access to ICTs. We know that the usage of mobile phones is lower among women than men. And we also know that it affects poor women more than other women. So to talk about inclusion and to try to close the digital gender gap, as we call it, the divide between men and women is really important. So, but of course there are other aspects as well, not just the IT aspect, but overall how to engage and include women in society more broadly. To me, to promote gender equality is something you also can do through promoting education. So we very much welcome that primary education now is free for all, and that there are several initiatives, including such that we support on keeping girls in school. This is absolutely crucial. Social norms that occur in societies, and some relate to regulations and laws and sort of the regulatory framework. And I think we need to address both. We need to look at these societal norms and look carefully at them. Do they promote equality or do they promote inequality? And to be quite frank, many of these norms, and this has been the case in my society as well, they often are there to tell women what they could do or should do, and more often shouldn't do. And we need to work with those norms and transform them into positive messages, into positive norms to improve equality. And here in Zambia, I've only been here 6 months, so my observations are very preliminary. But my understanding is that we need to work a lot with traditional leaders in your country, as well as the civil society, as well as the churches, and as well as with government. So we need to work with many stakeholders to change these sort of negative social norms into positive ones. And in parallel, as I said, need to work with authorities and government to reform or tweak the regulations so they more properly enforce equality and don't contribute to maintaining inequalities. For so long, women have been disadvantaged in our societies. So I think, and I know that women leaders inspire each other. They are mentors to each other and they inspire each other. But I think more importantly, what we need to look at, this is not only a women's issue. This is an issue for all of us. We as men, as male leaders, we need to make this issue our issue as well. Only then can we have a proper change, I think. And this is something we've found in my country. We've been working on gender equality for quite some time. We are not at all 100% equal. We have many challenges. But I think one thing we have discovered is that to have success, you must have everyone on board. including men, including male leaders. They must make gender equality their thing. They must become role models, they must set a good example, and they must work actively with this issue. The message is to women, but it's also to everyone. Make sure to highlight and make sure that you make gender equality your issue. That, I think, is the most important message of all.
Unfortunately, the opportunities of the digital revolution also present a risk of perpetuating existing patterns of gender inequality. Growing inequalities are becoming increasingly evident in the context of digital skills and access to technologies, with women being left behind as a result of this digital gender divide. The need for inclusive and transformative technology and digital education is therefore crucial for a sustainable future and a sustainable development.